Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of Snowed, the Michael Snow is a fraud story. Happy Sunday. I look a little scraggly today, but I'm going to make that up for you with some great content. You're going to love what I tell you today. So this story sort of brings us up to about the fall of 2020, the spring of 2021. However, what I have neglected to tell you, because so much happens and it overlaps, is that in the spring or early 2020, Mr. Snow was diagnosed with cancer. That's right. Yeah, he had cancer. Now, right here is, this was actually taken off his Facebook page because he did post it. And I'm going to read to you. It's this actually says, because I know you can't really read it. It's January 1st of 2020. And he posted, "Well, friends and family, I have a wee announcement now that the holidays are over. I have cancer. Yep, the big C word. I'm not going to discuss it in much detail here, but as more and more of you are learning about it, I felt it better to spill it. So you heard it from me as opposed to secondhand. Here is what I know. It's in my nose and it's not going to kill me." However, he did tell people it was. "Surgery is on the 29th and I will be doing chemo for approximately 6 to 8 weeks. It hasn't spread and has been there for quite a while already. My right nostril and nasal cavity is more heavily affected than the left, but it's there as well. My nose is packed with blood, scar tissue, and bleeds daily. I am dizzy often and my eyes water constantly. The pain is real. I'm literally blowing my nose every 20 minutes. I can't clear the buildup of tissue and blood fast enough. I can't currently fly due to my equilibrium being out of whack." How convenient, seeing as how he can't anyways. "And after driving today, I'm thinking I may need to quit that soon too. I'm getting tired very quickly. In any event, I'll post updates as I learn more. If you have any questions, PM or text me. I am not worried or afraid." Now, here's another photo that Mr. Snow posted also on Facebook, and I know it's really hard for you to read that small print, so I am going to read it for you. It says, "Fuck you, cancer. You can eat out my nose, but you can't have my life." So as you can see, there was always something. There was always something. And for the record, Mr. Snow didn't have cancer, and I'm not going to tell you how I found that out, but there's no cancer. But he did play that card very well because it was COVID. There was doctor's appointments that he had to attend. There were, he had to be in the hospital for certain things, sometimes staying overnight. Those never happened. Yeah, he doesn't have cancer. Now, eventually, of course, he can't have the surgery because he doesn't have cancer. So that somehow got to change. And for Mr. Snow, then that became, he had an infection, MSRA, and they couldn't cure it. And then he was going to see multiple specialists, and they were just really concerned how they were going to be able to do this surgery and chemo if they couldn't stop the MSRA. So that was all very concerning in that time frame. So this whole bit with cancer, this went on all of 2020 and all of 2021. I'm going to show you a few more things. So now in March of 2021, it turns out that it maybe isn't cancer. You can see here, he says to me, "The doctor thinks it's not an infection," the MSRA is what we're now talking about, "but a rare parasite." Holy cow. He might have to go to Edmonton, Toronto, or Montreal. Of course he does. Of course. This is how Mr. Snow lays down the groundwork so he can go and date another woman. I said, "Whoa, wow." He said Montreal is sending him them a specific test kit for the parasite. But I asked him, "Where would you have gotten this?" "Apparently it's pretty rare," he said. That's crazy. "It's usually seen in the Middle East." Ah, of course, because Mr. Snow, he was a Marine and he fought in the Middle East. That's where he got it. So as you can see, this is June 29th, 2021. And again, this is taken off Mr. Snow's Facebook page. And he's showing you how he's getting prepped. He's having some cancer cut out of his back. And it says, "Second round of cutting out the cancer. Couple off my face on Friday. These on Monday. 4 more next Monday. Still have no date for the nasal cancer." Of course he doesn't. As well, have a look at this. At one point, they couldn't do anything for him here in Saskatchewan. They just couldn't. It was beyond them. So complicated with all the parasites and stuff from the Middle East. And you can see May 31st, 2021, he tells me that the Mayo Clinic has called because he now has to go to the Mayo Clinic. While we're looking at that, you can also see how high my phone bill was at that point and how low my one account was at that point. This might have just been my US account. So that's the overdraft. So another text you can see, he says, this is July 5th, 2021. And he says, the stuff on my back was cancerous. I asked him what the doctor says, and he said it came back from pathology as cancer. And now what? More digging. I said, okay. Did they say what kind of cancer? No. Now, did Michael Snow have symptoms of some sort of nasal cavity issue? Yeah, he sure did. Yeah, but was it cancer? No. No, it sure wasn't. Was it MSRA? No, it wasn't that either. Was it a rare parasite from the Middle East? Most certainly not. So at this point, my mental health was really bad by the summer of 2021. My house was a disaster. Mr. Snow is an incredibly messy person. He had brought boxes from Ontario and he had filled my entire front porch with boxes, floor to ceiling. It was terrible. He had a snake in my house that I absolutely detested. And no matter how much I told him I disliked snakes, he would be very pissy with me because, it's his house too. He'd also hauled boxes into my basement. He had big intentions of setting up an office down there, and that was halfway started. He was planning to build shelves and create an office, and that never ever did happen. So it just looked like a huge disaster zone. As well, Mr. Snow is a bit of a hoarder, and the one thing he enjoys hoarding is magazines. And that man spent so much money on magazines, and I would say to him, we have no money. Like, look at these bills. And he was spending like hundreds of dollars on magazines a month. Not to mention he was drinking $1,000 a month in whiskey. So, and of course he had to because he had cancer and the poor boy. So my house was a disaster. I could no longer afford the cleaning lady that cleaned my house once a week, so I could just work more. I could not do that. Mr. Snow had my dining room table was literally heaped with stuff. And if I dared move any of his stuff, there'd be hell to pay. You didn't move Mr. Snow's stuff. So sometimes he'd be away for weeks at a time and I could literally not move his stuff because when he came home, I would get yelled at. No matter how much I tried to reason with him, talk to him, explain my feelings to him, it didn't matter. It just didn't matter. So I was feeling pretty defeated at this point. I didn't know what I was going to do. I see now that I stopped having people over to my home because I was very embarrassed at the state of my home. I even stopped having my own kids over to my home because I didn't want them to see how I was living. I always prided myself on a really tidy, clean home, beautifully decorated. I didn't have that anymore. Stay tuned for 15. It's coming.